I am Todd from GoodCleanFunLife.com.
And I am Tony Russo, no relation. We got lots of fun stuff for you this week. We got beer stuff, which is cool. We got muskrat stuff. We got party stuff. But before we get to that, we're gonna start off with a little bit of news, which is something that we there's actually something worth talking about that we both care about in the news. And Todd, why don't you tell us the story?
Okay, well, first of all, I very much enjoy, if this comes out as me talking to Max Headroom, I'm
Uh-huh.
okay with that because I watch a lot of 80s television, and I very much enjoyed that show.
Awesome.
The big news story was actually about a friend of mine, Coach Todd Martnick, the head wrestling coach at Stephen Decatur, who it came out, or was a formal complaint was filed against him to the Board of Education, I guess.
Yes.
Uh, and I actually heard something about this because I have been with him all season long, filming, basically documenting the season, just kind of, doing, instead of just a cheesy reel at the end of the season for the kids, we put together a couple nice little pieces. But yeah, so the story is that three wrestlers showed up on match day, smelling like marijuana. And Todd said, "Tell me who was smoking, and don't lie to me." And all three of the students denied smoking marijuana. And Todd said, "If you don't tell me the truth, I'm going to kick you off the team." And nobody fessed up to anything. They denied everything. So he asked them right then and there, prior to the meet, to clean out their locker. And now the parents of those children are making a complaint against him, saying it's a hostile environment, saying that he's accusing them of a crime wrongfully, and all of this sort of madness. And it's incredibly upsetting to me to think that somebody that I've watched work with these kids, who I've seen coach and teach a kid of my own, Robin, my fake daughter, and who I look forward to coaching my kids and teaching my kids once they get to high school, him to sort of go through this sort of scrutiny unnecessarily. And so I made a nice social media post, putting it out there, standing behind. I know this guy for 10 years. He's a good friend of mine. He is dedicated. He is principled. He's, yes, hard-nosed, but everything he does is for the betterment of the kids and the community. And it is just so blatantly obvious to me, and just had to share that out there. So it started a little bit of a social media frenzy. I don't and you saw but decided not to weigh in, but
Yeah.
it's been a crazy thing.
There are a couple reasons I didn't want to talk about it. One, I have like this anti-bandwagon policy where, like, if there's a dumb story, I try to ignore it. Like,
Right.
I want to. I feel like if we listen to this stuff, it will continue, and if we don't, it'll go away. The whole be the change you want to see in the world kind of thing. So that's why I generally don't. But also, more important, there are two things going on. I don't care a lot about the accusation part of it, but I found the coverage offensive, and that's what I wanted to write about. The most offensive thing about the coverage, and the other reason I decided not to post it, is I happen to like the reporter and think that she's a good reporter, who is Charlene Sharp, and the one that you sent off, which was the dispatch coverage.
Right.
I think that it is irresponsible to quote someone and not put their name. And she made this long accusatory quote and identified the speaker as one of the parents, and that felt very wrong to me. Now, Steve is a coward. I know he's your neighbor. I know he's your friend. He's a fucking coward, and I like to believe that Charlene put the name in there, and he took it out because he's a fucking coward. That may be true. It may not be true. But if I got into it, then I would have to find out it was true, and I don't care enough. I didn't want to get. And that's the other thing. One of the downsides to getting in these Facebook things is like every time somebody says something, you get a notification. And I said to myself, oh, Todd's hot. His friends are hot. If I say anything, then my whole day is going to be like ping, ping, ping.
Sorry.
Ping.
Sorry. Yeah.
So there were several reasons, but the coverage of it was an embarrassment.
Well, and that's actually something that I did want to get your take on, being media person. I mean, you're saying the coverage was offensive. I just and one of the things that I thought it was a good point to bring up that a friend said was, where's the Board of Education PR department, and why is like you said, why is this even coming to light? Why is this even a story? If the investigation is not open, why are they writing about it?
Well, the reason they're writing about it is probably one of the parents called and said something, like we went to the board about this and we know that this is going on, so word gets out. The question is about word getting out. The question is about whether and what to report. And if you can't run the name of the accuser, and you're going to run the name of the accused, and these are all grown-ups, and this is not, this is a petty accusation.
Yeah.
But no matter this is a parent saying to a newspaper, I want you to write this story, and this is my side of it, knowing that the school has no intention. I mean, the school's PR department, the worst thing they can do is come out and make it look like they're circling the wagons. The schools keep their wagons circled. You're not going to get anything. You may get something from background if you call. If you call them, you may get something like they'll give you like very desperate hints, like what kind of laws they're looking at and what kind of defense you're looking at making. What the school wants is, if the school doesn't talk, all the papers can do is continue to run the parents' allegations, and after a while it gets boring.
Yeah.
And so then it goes away, and the schools just want this to go away because nothing's going to happen. It's as good as gone away. Now the kids are going to stay off the team.
Yeah.
The coach is not going to. I mean, maybe these kids are lawyers' kids. It's possible. But I know the teachers carry insurance against being sued, and I also know that if the last thing the school board wants is the teacher to sue it, because that gets very expensive. Someone complains, that's one thing. But if it doesn't go away, it gets expensive for the school. And I don't think the school is worried about the embarrassment. They're a public school. But they do get worried about the litigation, and when the accusers discover that the Board of Education is just going to kind of wait for this to go away, they'll start an inquiry, and it's like an 8-month process or something, whatever it is. I don't know what specifically it is, but there's a long process, and they'll do it, but nothing's going to happen, and everybody knows that except the poor fuckers who were dumb enough to read what Steve Green wrote.
Well, I don't know if I think what's interesting is we actually got contacted by the Daily Times today because the story, and this is social media, and this is the current state of things, has now turned from Todd being accused to the huge swell of support that he's getting through social media, and Facebook is just one thing. I've talked to him, and the amount of calls and that sort of thing, people who are standing up for his character, and because I felt like it was a little bit of it's a character assassination by one parent or three parents of these three kids, trying to say something. And it just boggles my mind. So the next story that's going to come out is going to be about how great Todd is, and how much time and effort and all of those things that he's put into the school and the program and the wrestling, and the kids is that's going to be the story, and then the dumb parents are going to wish this never happened, and they're going to wish that went away.
And also the reason that that's a story is the school board's still not talking.
Yeah, right.
They have to write something, or what are we going to write about? What's another angle we need to see? It's called, at the risk of sounding too precious, it's called checking to see if a story has legs. And what you do is you keep running it until you're out of things to run about it. And if people are still interested, as long as there's interest, there's going to be another story. Until it's like, okay, you guys are just rehashing things. Give us something new. Or, something else terrible will happen.
So let's hope for another catastrophe, or
it didn't have to be a catastrophe. It could be an interesting lawsuit. It could be it's April now, right? They're gonna start announcing the school budget any day now.
Right.
So
right.
yeah, the budget's gonna start for Worcester County, and that'll be the end of that.
Well, good. So yeah, that got me a little hot on the collar, and I'm happy to get your insight on that. But that certainly didn't stop us from having a good time and take away from what we were doing this weekend, which was the Starboard opening up in Dewey Beach. Thursday night, Friday, Saturday was the Starboard's biggest day ever. As the numbers are coming in, which is kind of cool to be there and to be documenting that and going through the footage. It would definitely appear that it was one of the biggest days ever. And it's great too because we went back on Sunday. Obviously, it was much quieter, but still pretty busy, for a weekend in March. But one of the things that all of the managers were saying consistently is that there was no issue. Biggest day ever, no fights, no ambulance called, no anything like that. Just the most people that have ever been there spent the most money that they've ever spent, and everybody had a good time, and nobody did. And I'm sure there were some stupid things that were done, but nobody did anything.
Not
really
stupid enough to have to involve the authorities.
You're right, exactly. But that was a good weekend.
That's very cool. I saw the video you guys did. You did the promotional video, and I thought that was really well done. I like that that repeating aspect of anything. I think it's cool. I think it's a cool way to that, like, testimonial montage. Is that the name of it? That's the name of it now, right? Montage testimonial.
Yeah, we can go with that. That makes sense to me.
But it was really, really entertaining. There was someone that I thought I knew, but I didn't. So I'm like, what are the odds of me actually knowing someone who works at the Starboard? And I'm like, yeah, you don't. You silly person.
Well, and part of the thought on that is that so we interviewed all the staff for basically bios for the website. Then we did word association about events and other aspects of the Starboard. But in the age of reality shows and that sort of thing, people who are coming down or only come down for a week or a little bit or on the weekends down to their favorite watering hole down at the beach, they look at these guys as it's like they're part of the whole experience. So when you can kind of have that intimate, like, oh, this is Meg talking about something, this is Dougie talking about something, it makes it more special for the viewer. And I'm actually happy to hear that you don't know those people and you don't go there, but you get the same vibe from that as well.
Yeah, no, it was very well done. You should be proud of yourself.
Cool. Thank you.
You don't need credit from me, but you do. But I would give you shit if it was awful, so I figure.
Yeah, right.
I feel like I have to say it was good.
Yes. But that's me. What have you been up to?
Oh, I had a very busy Saturday. I had a lot to write. I have so much to write this week. It's absurd. And I decided I was going to clear the day and write all day Saturday. And I got a call out of in the morning. We went into Cambridge. We had some errands to run in Cambridge. They're boring. You know what? It's a weird financial story, so I'll tell you. They have a limit on my credit card to keep them from getting stolen from. And I went shopping. Oh, I told you the story about the muskrat, right?
Right.
Same story. On the way home, there was a pair of cufflinks that I liked, and they were like $7. I'm like, well, I know I have $7. So I went to buy them, and the lady gave me a credit instead of a debit. Like, she gave me $7, and she's like, oh, now I have to reverse it and charge you $15. I'm like, oh, I don't have $15. And so I had to go pick up my cufflinks on Saturday because then I was into, like, they had given me a credit, so they called me and they're like, can we have our money back? I'm like, yeah, you totally can have your money back. And they said, do you still want the cufflinks? And I said yes. So anyway, went up. Oh, these are my cufflinks. They say T. You can't see them.
T.
T. That's my initial.
Oh yeah.
For Tony. I've taken to wearing cuffed shirts. Did we talk about that at all?
Yeah, that's going to be your thing. Is cuff shirts.
Yeah, I have. I think I have 5 or 6 shirts. So I'm going to get, but I wasn't wearing them often because I didn't have very many cufflinks. So now I'm trying to pick up more cufflinks and do that. So anyway, I got home and I locked myself in my room to write, and I got a call from Jason Hearn, who's the owner of Tall Tales, and he's like, "Hey, can you come out? We're having a groundbreaking today, and I'd like you to do like a story. Just give me a little coverage." And I said, "Sure, I'm happy to do that." So I went out there, and the county executive Bob Culver was there, and they are going to quadruple in size by the middle of the summer. They're going to be the size that Evo was when it left Delmar, I think.
Wow.
Distribution-wise, they're putting in a huge back room. They're going to do. They're putting in a bottling line, a bigger bottling line than they already have, and more tanks and up and out. They're gonna start really cranking out beer. One of the things that I'd written about most recently is this whole idea of Maryland beer, and Maryland beer is being pushed now. Like the Kevin Addicks from the Brewers Association, he's pushing the idea of Maryland beer, and it's starting to get a little bit of traction. People ask for it.
That's great.
People know that good beer comes from Maryland. I mean, there is Evo and there is Flying Dog, which are huge, but you know what I mean. Which are huge breweries, which are big enough to be known outside of Maryland. And so, yeah, you're like flicking at. To be known outside of Maryland, and so they're going to try to capitalize on this and start to push Maryland beer as a destination. And of course, me always being 2 steps ahead, I'm thinking of pushing the peninsula as a destination. Where if I get this book, I'll have a project that I believe will be fun. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's funny. That's makes complete sense. And it's really one of the first times I've thought about it in terms of making Maryland a destination. I mean, obviously, we're in the mix of it, and down here on the peninsula, and talking to everybody, Randy, and just it's weird, kind of like being involved with the bars in town, but not. A bar person, not having a bar. Same with the breweries. But yeah, to take a step back and look at it in that light is good, and that's really good for everybody in Maryland tourism too, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm thinking, I'm pretty sure there's probably some tourism money that people are going after, and this kind of thing will help. I think that's one of the reasons that I'm doing my blog is to kind of. I'm sorry. I think it's one of the reasons someone's paying me to do a blog is that they believe that if they're like, I don't want to pat myself on the back too much, but like I'm a professional writer, so there's an air of legitimacy to like this isn't some. I mean, yes, he is an overweight white guy, but he also gets paid to write about things other than beer. This isn't his angry blog, and I think that's part of a larger movement to.
Cool.
Well,
very cool. Very cool. Very cool.
Following up on that, does Burley have a bottle release this weekend? Do you know?
I believe that, yes. I believe it is this weekend, which, so I think they're trying to coincide, maybe they're trying to coincide it with with beer people being down for the Brewgrass, because that is also this weekend. So, yeah, they have a bottle release of some sort, the Funk.
Yeah, on the
I believe
28th, as I understand it.
Mm-hmm,
I may be out to cover that for the Surecraft Brew. I'll have to talk to my editor and see if he's going to cover it or if it's something that he wants me to do. But I talked to Nikki, and she said it'd be cool if I came out and took some photos. So looking forward to that. I haven't been down in Berlin in a while. We'll have to see how my weekend goes, but that's my standing plan.
Awesome. Yeah, it's we will be we'll be at Brewgrass, and then we'll be celebrating a little bachelorette party, and of course we're going to end up back at Berlin and most likely back at Burley Oak. So I don't know if I'll see you, but I will definitely know your presence for sure.
And so the other thing that I wanted to talk about is I've been continuing my game research and speaking with a muskrat trapper, a different muskrat trapper. There's tons of them. And one of the things that he told me, that there are several things he told me that blew my mind. The first was that there didn't used to be beavers here on the Eastern Shore. Like they had gotten rid of the beavers or whatever, and then the Department of Agriculture put more beavers out here so that they could be hunted and so that they could be used for pelts and whatnot. And they just kind of got out of control because they didn't have any real predators. So in 1973 or so, it was illegal to hunt beavers.
Huh.
By today, you can get almost as many of them. The season is longer than muskrat season. You can almost always trap a beaver. You still can't shoot them, which is weird. But as a result of this conversation, he had actually just caught a beaver and he showed it to me. They are really, really big. I don't know the last time you saw a beaver.
No, I'm not sure that I've ever seen a beaver other than just diving into the pond.
It's as big as a small dog. It was 40 pounds. It was like this.
Wow.
And the teeth were really just almost cartoonishly. I'm like, that's not real beaver teeth. That's a cartoon of beaver teeth. But it was very cool to see. And he was telling me the other story that he was telling me that I might see if I can do a magazine article about if I can do a magazine article about it is the coyotes are coming. The coyotes are coming.
This is definitely turning into an Eastern Shore podcast.
Absolutely.
We talk about beer, beavers, and coyotes.
Coyotes are coming. And so the coyotes have been, I say coyote, and it was one of those things. Here's something. When you're talking to somebody and you get into like a pronunciation pissing contest, where like he said coyote, I said coyote, he said coyote, I said coyote, he said coyote, and I'm like, you know what? It's more uncomfortable for me to not say coyote than it is for me to say coyote. So I just went with it, and I just started saying coyote, but it just felt weird in my mouth. It's not
right.
It's not the word I would have chosen. Coyote was the word I would have chosen, but he seemed pretty committed to it. And I'm like, well, you clearly like saying coyote more than I like saying coyote, because I happened to mention coyote, and then you worked coyote into the sentence like 10 times. So that's your word, I get it. You're calling them coyotes because, I don't know, we're in fucking New Mexico or wherever.
Right.
But, so as it turns out, they displaced the red fox, not the actor, but the animal. And they're coming. His prediction was there will be no foxes left on the Eastern Shore in 20 or 25 years. No red foxes.
Wow.
And to put that into perspective, right now there are a dangerous number of red foxes. I don't know if I speculated this before that there was going to be a fox population boom because there wasn't any because the Russians aren't buying furs anymore. We had that conversation.
Right.
And so now He's like, we can't have any more. There might be some fox disease that runs through, but the population is already huge, so there's not a lot more room for them to grow. So
Wow.
yeah, all sorts of fun ecological
That's
stuff.
interesting. Yeah, yeah.
Tony Ecology.
Who would have thought that this is the direction you would go? But it makes sense because just like whiskey is a natural extension of craft beer, beavers and coyotes are a natural extension from muskrat. So
Absolutely.
I think that's a a perfectly normal segue for your career path.
Well, and if I can kind of plug my real day job, I was given the green light to write the Delaware Business Report, food and wine and spirits. Or I'm going to write about all the places that make booze. I'm going to go to Nassau. I'm going to go to Dogfish. I'm going to go to the distilleries, and I'm just going to hit everybody in Sussex County. I'm going to get photos. It's going to be a long feature. It'll be out in May, I believe, the beginning of May, and I might have the whole thing to myself. It's going to be a huge deal. So I'm looking forward to that.
I think that's great, and it's interesting because obviously being down here on the Eastern Shore, all of Delaware is here, but only part of Maryland, and it just seems weird that I mean, you definitely, once you've been here for a while, you think of the whole region as being one spot. So the delineation with the states in terms of going out for good food, wine, or that, you're not just going to stop in Fenwick because it's a different state. But so that'll be good. So that'll be another nice little feather in your cap.
Yeah, looking forward to that. And the other thing I wanted to point out has slipped my mind.
What's that? Say, I lost you there for a second.
I said the other thing I wanted to point out has slipped my mind. I don't know. There was another.
Oh, okay.
There was another fun thing that is going on. Oh, just a gentle reminder: the Third Fridays are back. March 20th or whatever was the last Third Friday that wasn't outside. So back in April. That's starting. Also on April 4th is the beginning of that first Saturday. And if you guys are around, you may want to see about coming down because that's going to be a big deal. Chris English is going to be out in the street, and it's going to be I'm not going. I'll be in Jersey, but it's going to be a.
And they're doing shows at Headquarters Live for the third Saturday.
No, it's
first Saturday.
They're closing the streets and doing a concert in front of the government building downtown, in front of your old offices, actually.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's great.
And so far, they have Chris English is this month, and then next month are the Larks, is the Larks, and then the month after that is a group called Lewis and Clark, who I feel like the people in that,
okay.
But I don't know.
I know who they are. I'm pretty sure I know who those guys are.
If I knew their names, I would tell them to you, and then you would know who they were. But I don't know. I don't believe it's Lewis or Clark.
Other than that, they discovered something. They had a nice trail.
They made it to the Pacific Ocean.
That's right.
With Sacagawea. And they made a gold coin out of Sacagawea recently. Not like Lewis and Clark didn't.
Wait, Lewis and Clark the band?
So yeah, look, things are looking good for the Salisbury art scene. It's going to be a good spring, I think. So keep your eyes out for stuff here. But other than that, I got nothing. How about you?
I got nothing.
All right. Well, may Todd give you the sense to live in a small town.
We will see you next week at Happy Hour. Cheers.